like I was saying, this boat is fresh from the 2008 season. It's got some war injuries. You can see this right here. This is Bondo. This was a dent that was put in it at Riggins, Idaho on the Salmon River. Believe it or not, Bondo is a great way to fix these boats. It's temporary, but it lasts long enough. You can see I've got my straight edge. I pre-marked all this where the actual center of the steel plate is. I've got my straight edge laying on there, and if I shine my light through on this side, cameraman, I don't know if you can see that, but you can see light coming through starting about here all the way back. So that means this part of the steel and the hole was deformed. I've got to make up for that. Again, I'll probably do it with Bondo. One thing I wanted to try this year, which is new, is this plate. This is normally used on boats that run over 100 miles an hour. This boat only runs 91. But it's an idea I've been playing around with. This is called a spoon. What it does is loads the pump. It'll load the pump in adverse conditions, like you're going through white water, you're turning, the boat's nose is getting a little high. This supposedly will keep the pump loaded. I don't know if it's been tried on 90 mile an hour boats, but this is one thing I've been thinking about trying. Anyway, so I put this on here. I notice there's a gap. I'm not going to do it on the camera because it takes a while, but what I'll do is I'll fill this in. I'll Bondo this in and hump it over here, and this will all lead right into the intake. This is, I can't stress enough how important all this right in here is. This is where all the speed in the boat is. If I project this line out past the grate, it's still sitting up here on my flat line, and I start measuring. This is called a ride plate. This is what the boat rears back on. If I start measuring to this is just giving me a rough idea. When I get serious about it, I'll actually use a steel ruler. So far, it's all pretty close. In other words, this plate is in relationship to that, the flat part of the boat. It's all square. I don't really have to do anything with that. One thing I did notice, though, earlier, was that somewhere I've struck a rock or two, or 25, and this is tipped like this. So what I'm going to have to do is cut this weld and push this side back down to level that off. See up front there's a little, you can see a tiny gap underneath, and I'll fill that with Bondo. But as we pan back, that straight edge ought to stay in contact with that steel bottom all the way back to here. As you can see, it doesn't. There's a big gap that starts about here and runs clear back to here. What that does, what it does particularly on this particular boat is when I let off the throttle, as I go from 90 to about 60, the boat will actually start inhaling air into the pump here. The pump will unhook, I'll lose the steering, and the boat slowly turns. It'll turn left or turn right. I can't predict which way it's going to go. I've been wondering what the problem was all year. That's the problem right there.